Well, it's 2023. 22 went by in a flash, and if you're anything like me, you might be looking back at your 22 photos, and you might have a feeling of, I didn't get anywhere with my photography. I didn't accomplish anything new. I don't feel like I learned any new skills. I didn't get anywhere new. I didn't do more. I could have done more, whatever. This video, I'm going to go over some of my favorites from 22, maybe not my bests from 22, but my favorites of 22, and see what I accomplished, if anything. Hi everyone, my name is Chris, this is KGS Photo. Thanks for tuning into this video. Like I said just before, this video is going to go over my 2022 photography, some of my favorites, maybe some of my best for the year. But do I feel like I accomplished everything I wanted in photography this year or last year? No. Do you ever really feel like you've done everything you wanted to do? Probably not. But we're not going to go into that psychology. In 2022, we went to Washington State. We went down to Maryland in the Chesapeake Bay and Ocean City, Maryland to see the beach. Of course, we got to places around where we live. Jersey Shore, we're near Pennsylvania, so Pennsylvania, Delaware River, even upstate New York, some small stuff in upstate New York. But I did not get as much as I wanted. I didn't get to practice certain things that I wanted to go into a little bit more. And now that I got some new equipment, it'd be nice to use that a little bit more in 23. Enough yapping, let's get over to the computer and look at some pictures. Some of my favorites may not be the bests, but my favorites from last year and what I hope to do this year, 23. This is my folder here of some of the stuff I pulled from the year 2022, but let's look at them in the full screen on Photoshop. So, to start off, Goshen, New York. And if you're in the area, Goshen, New York has a great place called Falconry Excursions, and for a small price, you can interact with tons of different types of birds of prey. Hawks, eagles, owls, what else is there? There's a lot of birds. So you get to handle the birds, and you even can go out into the wild with them. And with the trainer, they come and they'll perch on your arm and chase food and even hunt if you want to hunt and go kill rabbits or something. But so this is a Harris Hawk photo. Yeah, so I love taking pictures of birds, but I definitely do not like going out into the woods trying to find those birds and using telephoto lenses and trying to shoot them from afar. It's a friggin' nightmare for me. I don't have enough patience to go traipsing through the woods to find fancy schmancy birds, so I normally try to find different interactions, whether it's at educational centers or zoos or places that rescue birds of prey. But this place, they raise birds of prey, and then they train them, and they use them as educational tools, and they go out there, and this Harris Hawk was very handsome. So, definitely a favorite of mine from 2022. The next one that I like, in my personal opinion, from 2022 was very recent. I think it was just the beginning of December. So this is at the Croton Dam, Croton Gorge in upstate New York, kind of near Terrytown area. We were up there for a concert, and I, of course, planned one extra day so we could get to Lyndhurst Castle down the road from this a ways, and then this place was very cool, and it wasn't too freezing, so the water was flowing, there wasn't much ice. The lighting wasn't that great, so when we went to the top of the bridge up here, there wasn't much of a sunset. We had some colors, and it did come out nice, but it was just kind of a boring empty sky, no clouds, nothing really to throw shadows, give anything interesting. But Croton Gorge, the Croton Dam, upstate New York, very cool. 2022 was yet another summer into fall of going to sunflower fields and taking tons of pictures of sunflowers. This is a newer farm for us to get to. It was in northern Bucks County. Don't remember the town, but northern Bucks County, and it was on a hill. So unlike a lot of the farmland in Jersey that has sunflowers, it's very flat, and there's really no depth of field you can work with other than just the flowers and the tree lines in the distance. This was on kind of a steep hill going up, so you had your sunset going down behind the trees and the tall grass and the hillside. So So this one came out pretty good. There's like 3 or 4 shots that I took that are kind of the same angle, just different editing techniques, HDRing some of them. But this one I think is kind of my favorite out of all of them. It's been, let's see, this was July, so how can I remember? But sunflower fields, if you got farmland near you and it's open to letting photographers come on, or to having agritourism as they call it, get there and take your pictures. Try to get there when it's not crowded with people, because people ruin everything. Especially in landscape shots, unless you're going there to take beauty shots and model shots of your kids or women or men or whatever, doggies in the farm. I would not want to be there with a bunch of people. Here's a shot from our Washington trip last May. The poppy fields were popping at the lavender farm. This was a lavender farm going towards Port Angeles, which is like the last big town before you get into the Olympic Peninsula. So poppy fields, their lavender was not blooming, so the poppy fields were, their wildflowers and poppies were. This isn't actually a very large field. It's kind of just a filler field between where you can park and shop, and then where the store that you actually has like a tented shop and then a brick building that you can do the store. Unfortunately, this farm, Washington Lavender Farm it's called, it's a bed and breakfast, and it was an open farm to the public, open to the public. But the family just announced that last year was their last season. The farm will be open to the public. You will only be able to go to their lavender, wildflower, poppy fields if you're staying on property. So I guess I'm happy I got there before they closed to the public. Staying in Washington. This is Madison Falls, and this is out in the Olympic Peninsula area. This is a great spot if it's hot out, because it is nice and chilly in this gorge, but the problem is, because it's in a gorge, your waterfall is going to be blown out if you're shooting for the shadows, and vice versa. It'll be way too dark if you're shooting for the waterfall. So this is a HDR photo, 3 to 5 photos merged together. Staying in Washington, this is out on Whidbey Island. It's at Fort Casey. Some colorization, film grain added to this guy, but the fort's amazing. You can go in it, on top of it. You can explore all around it. They've kept it nice and safe for people to get in and out of. But Fort Casey on Whidbey Island. And probably my favorite photo from 2022, or at least one of the favorites, sunrise from Deception Pass. Deception Pass, it's one of the most photographed location in Washington State. Just getting low, dropping down the camera. It's always a thing. If you can get high, get high. If you can get low, get low. And it's always easier to get lower, especially when you got all these rocks in the shadows. So makes for a nice landscape shot. One more from Washington and one more from Deception Pass. This is out on the waterfront. And it was early morning fog going through the channel that goes out to the bridge, and just soft tones, the sun coming through the fog and the clouds and the trees. So a nice landscape shot, nice layers to the land, getting away from Washington State but sticking with waterfalls, or at least going back to waterfalls. This is Raymond's Kill Falls in the Delaware Water Gap, on the Pennsylvania side, not the New Jersey side. And normally, I would take pictures only from the bottom of waterfalls, because it's just more interesting, but this came out pretty good for climbing up to the top of it. Just couldn't get a wide enough angle with my wide-angle lens, because it would have shown the safety railings on the trail, and I didn't want to show that. But still, nice shot. One of my faves from 2022. Going out to the Jersey Shore. So one of the most photographed locations, if you're in New Jersey, would be the beaches, all of them. But this is a winter nightscape, probably taken in April or March probably. Winter nightscape at Avalon. Avalon Beach, underneath the Avalon Fishing Pier. It's a little different, so because of the light pollution coming off of the lights on the fishing pier, shot from underneath it, used the underneath shapes to make something interesting, and also aimed it not out at sea but back at land, and a little bit of stars showing up even with that light pollution. Or Wildwoods, so if you've been to New Jersey or the beach, or you're living near it, the Wildwoods is a huge place. There's North Wildwood, the Wildwoods, there's Wildwood Crest, a couple locations. This is the touristy section with the boardwalk, again, taken in the winter, so the rides aren't working. And colorized this and gave it some grainy effect. More of a old-fashioned camera look to this shot. Just liked the shapes to the roller coaster going through the photo. Going out to the beach, this time down in Maryland. So another trip other than Washington. We drove down to the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, stayed at the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, and then also went to Ocean City, Maryland. And this was during some big car festival, so the only time to get shots where people weren't walking around was sunrise or sunset, depending on where you were, and night. So sunrise, Ocean City, Maryland, at the fishing pier, catching the ocean mid splash. Staying in Ocean City, this time on the bay. This is the private dock we had at the Airbnb we rented. So it was a great location, lots of good stuff at night. Birds are an added bonus, giving me something interesting other than just an empty dock. Birds with the silhouettes and birds going through the sunshine, birds pooping. Leaving Ocean City, Maryland, now going back to the Jersey Shore. This is Belmar Beach, Belmar Fishing Pier. I seem to always go here in the winter and take pictures at night or sunset. Sunrise from here is great too, just I don't want to get up that early and drive 45 minutes to get to this by the time of sunrise. But sunset and night. So even with all the light pollution and the safety lights coming off the fishing pier, smoothing out the ocean and all the big jetty rocks and a little bit of star shine. So something good. 2022 was the year. And it seems like every year I go to more and more, but was the year to go to farms, especially flower farms. And I love butterflies. They elude me, though. They never seem to want to land on me. They always land on my wife, and my wife hates butterflies. Well, she likes how they look. She doesn't like them landing on her. I don't know why. It's not like they sting or do anything. But of all the butterfly shots, it might not be the most colorful butterfly shot we got in 22, but it's probably the sharpest. Just the detail of the little legs, and I guess that's his mouth schnoz, and he's sucking up pollen. Who knows what they do. I'm not an insect person, but I'll take pictures of them. Staying with the insects, this was a bee who was probably a little confused. This was early October on a flower farm, and it was warm, but not warm enough for him to be out like this, and he was not moving too fast. He was kind of just walking along this fence post, which made it great for me. I was able to get him without macro lenses, just using telephoto and getting in close. More farm location shooting. This is at a dairy farm nearby where we are in the Lawrenceville area, and they do a cow parade to honor the cows. I guess it's a European tradition, and to honor the cows and to represent the ending of the season, I guess, for milk, cheese, dairy, but they still make it. It's just a symbolic thing, honoring the cows. So the cow parade was cute, but had a lot of people in the way. So the better pictures were gotten, if that's a word, when the cows were hanging out along the fence line, looking at everybody and smearing schnot on the fences. Summer of farms. Basically from May to October, it seems I was at farms. Oh, I'm sorry, November, I was at farms. This is a tulip farm down in Dayton, New Jersey. First time being there. It was a huge farm. They had lots of different plots and locations for you to shoot. And again, just getting low, showing the flowers in the foreground, and then using the background of the giant tractor to make it a little more interesting. Horse farms, not just flower farms. We got to a horse farm. This was in December, just before Christmas. It's Clydesdale Farm, and these guys are always photogenic. They love the pose, giving you the side eye. Tons of shots taken here, but this is one of my favorite ones. Just the two of them. This guy with his friggin' hair, it's great. Staying on that Clydesdale farm, these two guys were inseparable. They kept fighting, or love fighting, who knows what they were doing, but they kept giving us dirty looks and rearing up at each other, but hanging out and eating on the farm. Colorized this to make it have a little more of a warmer tone. We're near New Hope area, where we are, New Hope being in Pennsylvania, if you don't know, but New Hope's a great little town, lots of stuff nearby, lots of historical things to shoot, lots of farms. So this is a farm on a state park. They had sheep and goats, horses and things like that, with the fall colors, so a great autumnal scene. Also near New Hope, but on the Jersey side, Lambertville, This was in July, so it was hot, but it's a mix of industrial and nature, golden hour, sunset coming through. This is a drainage waterfall that comes from the canal, the historical canal that's nearby, and the Delaware River's on the other side. A last farm shot. This is at Happy Day Farm in the Freehold Manalapan area of New Jersey, and they do great stuff too. Their sunflower fields are separated, and they have different locations. They always park cool stuff, tractors, and they build different neat things to take pictures of. But this is colorized a little bit, made them look a little more rustic and older, vintage look to the photo. So looking back at my 22 photo collection, I took tons of stuff that I'll put on my shop site, stuff that will sell, stuff that I'll put into shows, and these things might win things, might not win, might get accepted, might not get accepted. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just good to get out there and expose yourself to new environments, take pictures at new locations, try out new techniques, and then taking those photos, and if you are trying to sell them, getting them on your site, see what the response is, if they actually sell, and even getting them into local shows, online shows, international shows, and see if they get accepted. If they get accepted, that's probably a big win. If they win something, okay, good. If you win money, you cover your costs, because you're never going to win enough to cover your cost of going on trips and paying for all this stuff. So I thank you for tuning in, watching this video. If you're at the end of the video, congratulations. You're going to win nothing. Ultimately, in 23, I want to get out there and take more pictures and do stuff that I missed out on, or I feel like I missed out on last year. I already have a trip booked to go back out to Washington, but we're going to go to different locations. The Olympic Peninsula, the coast, the rainforest, the mountains, blah, blah, blah. Even go out to, if you ever heard of it, Lake Chelan in Washington. It's the wine region, or one of the wine regions out there. So I want to take pictures. My wife wants to go to the wine region. It has to be a happy balance. So thanks again for watching this video all the way through. If you did, if not, maybe just skip to the end. You missed something. You go back. You're missing photos. Take pictures, get out there. You only can learn if you get out there and try and try and try. You'll fail, and then you'll not, and then you'll fail again, and then you won't. It's all a win-lose back and forth. But like I am trying to make into a phrase, just get out there and shoot something and have fun. Also, if you haven't done it yet, you're on YouTube, you know what everyone begs for. Like, subscribe, notifications. Videos will come out every few weeks, every month, hopefully every month. Thanks again.